Hello, everyone. My name is Elisa Ewan, and I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations at TC. Thank you for joining us today for this virtual event sponsored by Alumni Relations. This is one of the many ways you can stay engaged to your TC family. I'd like to quickly remind you of a few more ways you can maintain a meaningful connection with TC. 1. Hire TC students and alums. 2. Refer prospective students back to the college. 3. Show your pride by including Teachers College in all of your professional credentials. 4. Share your talents and expertise by volunteering to speak at TC events or by joining one of our Alumni Association committees. And 5. When the time is right for you, support TC financially by donating to the TC Fund. We are especially grateful for the TC alumni who share their knowledge through insightful presentations like the one we're about to hear today, for all of the TC community to learn together. And now, I would like to introduce today's event presenter, alumna Jocelyn Kenner, who will be presenting the 10 Commandments for Organizing Your Home. After a long career in education, Jocelyn Kenner opened her organizing company, See Your Way Clear, LLC, in 2007. An active member of the professional organizing community, Jocelyn is on the leadership team of the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals and recently served as board secretary for the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. A lifelong learner, Jocelyn is currently a student in the Coach Approach Institute. Jocelyn graduated from TC in 1987 with an MA in education. After teaching at the Horace Mann Barnard Elementary School in the Bronx for 14 years, she and her husband, also a TC grad, went on to own and operated an educational entertainment franchise called Mad Science. Jocelyn will be taking questions from the audience during the latter part of our event, so feel free to drop in any questions that you have in the Q&A pane below. We will be utilizing the chat during today's workshop, which is located at the bottom of your screen. And don't forget to change the to line to panelists and attendees so everyone can see your answers. And don't forget to also download the worksheet for today's webinar if you haven't already. The link is in the chat. If you have any technical or audio issues, please use the chat to let us know how we can help. And without further ado, please help me welcome Jocelyn Kenner.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you, Elisa Ewan, for inviting me to present today as part of the Alumni Relations programming. I'm thrilled to return to my alma mater, Teachers College. It's been a long time, but I am so happy to be here. And I just want to tell you all that here's a secret about me. I was not born organized. If you took a room of professional organizers and you said, those of you who were born organized, stand over here, and those of you who were not born organized, stand over here, we would be pretty evenly split. Some people were born organized and they knew right from the get-go that they should put their clothes away in their drawers by color. Other kids like me had no idea. But what I did learn was that you can learn these skills and they can really be life-changing. And I said, when I realized that I wasn't born organized, and it wasn't really until I became a classroom teacher where it was really important to be organized, I learned the skills that I needed. And I said, I need to pass this on. I need to teach this because I want to change other people's lives for the better the way mine was. So here we are. Thank you for joining from all over. But I have a question for you that I want you to think about. And if you would be so kind as to put it in the chat. The question is, let me just get my notes here. What specific areas of your home do you feel need to be better organized? What specific areas of your home do you feel need to be better organized? Bedroom, closet, okay. Kitchen, oh my God, the house. I've heard that. Closet, photo, study, great, okay. Baby's room, great. Wonderful. All right. So this is everything I've seen, and you're all in good company. But I want to start out by telling you that there's a very huge misconception about what being organized is. And the media, unfortunately, has sort of has helped in this misconception, because we open up a magazine and we see perfect rooms and perfect closets and perfect kitchens, and it makes us feel bad about ourselves. But organization is not about perfection. It's really about being able to find what you need when you need it. You want to be able to improve your quality of life. And what is your definition of organization is going to be different from someone else's definition of organization. So the number one commandment that I have today, the first of my 10 commandments, is probably the most important thing I want you to take away from today's presentation. And that is to let go of perfection. Because if we start out thinking that I have to do this organizing project perfectly, we're going to feel lousy right from the get-go. It's going to deflate us. It's going to ruin our motivation, because there is no perfection. I'm going to tell you that right now. There is no perfection. So don't even try to go for that. There's a saying that perfect is the enemy of good. And I really have to say that when it comes to organizing spaces in your home, it's the perfection that can be so undermining. I made up this evolution of clutter because I've seen this. I mean, I've been working in this industry for 14 years. So I've seen this over and over again. People start out and they want to have perfection. And they think, well, let's take organizing a closet, for example. Well, I wanted to buy new hangers and I don't have the right hanger, so I better not start. Or I don't have boxes to put my sweaters in, and I really wanted to go to the Container Store and get these boxes, so I better not start. Or I only have a half hour. How much could I possibly get done in a half hour? This is going to take me a whole day to do my closet. And what that is that's sort of that little sneaky perfections coming in. And you delay your decisions about things. And when you delay your decisions, it turns into procrastination. And procrastination turns into clutter. And this is what happens for so many people. So again, let go of perfectionism, because it's not helping you in this situation. You can organize your closet for 15 minutes. You'll be amazed at how much you can get done in 15 minutes. You can organize your closet for 5 minutes. Or even more helpful is, don't look at it as the closet, break it down into a little part and say, I'm just going to do my shoes today. Or I'm just going to do my handbags or my belts. Break it down into little pieces and do one piece a day. And it won't feel overwhelming. And it really won't take that long. You'll be surprised. So when you let go of perfectionism, I want you to think of this: go for good enough. I say this to all my clients. It's better to accomplish something at 80%, because, if we got an 80 on a test, we would say, okay, that's good. Not excellent, but it's good. Go for something, accomplish something at 80% is so much better than accomplishing nothing at 100%. So go for good enough. These people, look at how happy they are. They let go of perfection and they're just going for good enough. So again, break it down into small pieces so it doesn't feel as overwhelming. Okay, second commandment, keep like items together. Again, if you were a born organized person, this would probably be pretty obvious to you. But if you were like me and you were not born organized, you didn't know that this was sort of a magical formula here. Oh, keep like items together. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Now, a lot of us do this instinctively in our kitchens. We keep the pots and pans together, and we keep our glassware together. And even our flatware or utensils, we take it one step further, and many of us divide them by type. So we've got the forks in one compartment and the knives in the other, spoons. And I want you to think about this principle of keeping like items together. All right, here are some more examples. The sporting equipment. And therefore, if you keep the like items together, you'll always know how much tennis balls you have. You'll always know where the golf clubs are. And batteries. Batteries, I see this in so many homes. Some people keep some batteries in the kitchen drawer. Some are in the desk drawer. Some are in the garage. And my advice is keep the batteries all together, because you'll know at a quick glance what your inventory is. And so when you go to Costco or when you go to the supermarket and you have to buy more, you'll know exactly how much you have of everything. So keep your batteries together if you can. Same goes for your light bulbs and your wrapping paper and your postage stamps. Keep like things together. Your sewing supplies, for that minute where you've lost a button on your shirt and you've got to sew it on quickly, you want to find everything you can in a box or in some kind of container. Your pet supplies, it's great to have the pet supplies all together. Okay, third commandment, and this kind of goes along with the first commandment, is that everything needs a home. So once you put like items together, you need to assign things a home. Because if you don't assign a home to an object, that means it has no place to live. And if it has no place to live, that means it's going to stay out on the table or the counter. And if it stays out on the table or the counter, then it turns into clutter. So everything needs a home. And I just want to say, forgive me, I can't read the chat. I'm glad you're chatting, but I'm just going to keep focused on my screens here. So maybe during the Q&A, if there was something you asked and I couldn't react to it, you'll think to ask it again. Okay, so here's a child's playroom. And great collection of stuffed animals here. I see a couple of really good Beanie Babies, but the problem is that when it comes time to clean up, I mean, this is just an overwhelming mess, right? But in this playroom, all of the stuffed animals have a home. They're organized in plastic containers, clear. I love using clear plastic whenever possible because it just helps to identify what's living in a container. And this little girl can take out her stuffed animals and play with them, and then they just all go back in the box. They all have a home and they're all together. And I love this saying of Benjamin Franklin's, a place for everything and everything in its place. That really says it all. Okay, in this picture, we're showing how like items are together and they have a home. This was a situation where this kitchen had very little cabinet space. And so the owner had to put up shelves to afford more storage. And you could see that, that they stacked, their plates are together, their bowls are together, their molds over here. And what this owner did, which was really smart, is they use these shelf risers right here. You can get those from Target, from the Container Store, a hardware store would sell them. And they're great because they enable you to utilize the vertical storage in a tall shelf. Because it would be difficult if you had 10 plates and then 5 bowls sitting right on top of them. But if you use a shelf divider, it allows you space to pull things in and out. I also like down here how the owner put the pans up vertically, almost as if to file them instead of stacking them one on top of the other. So this is a great example of utilizing your vertical storage. And over here, this is just one way to keep your tools. This is great if you don't have a lot of drawer space. You can hang a pegboard on the wall and that's what this owner did here. They hung their tools, and so they're right flat up against a wall, utilizing the vertical storage. Over here, this is actually my friend's garage. She and her husband are avid gardeners, and I went over one day to pick up, they had some plants for me, and I walked in their garage and I was like, this is gorgeous. Can I take a picture of this and use it in my presentation? And they were like, sure. And what they did was they hung all of their rakes and shovels up against the garage wall here. And I don't know if you could tell, but they even hung hooks down from the ceiling where they hang a wheelbarrow and a bike rack. So excellent use of vertical storage. And by the way, they can still park the cars in the garage. So that's great. Okay. Now, here's a closet, and I think this closet is absolutely wonderful. And you're probably going, but Jocelyn, that doesn't look like the closets I'd see in Martha Stewart Living, and it doesn't look like the closets I'd see in Real Simple. And my answer is, yeah, but this looks like the closet that you and I probably have. So, and it's not my closet, but what I love about this is that this owner, you see that there's one bar to hang clothes, and then there was a shelf, and all this wasted vertical storage right here. So this owner got some clear bins and used them for out of season clothes and extra bedding. So great use of vertical space, because look, because they can stack, she utilized all of the available areas above the rod. Everything has a home, and like items are together. Okay. Fourth commandment, again, goes along with things need a home, like items together, is containerize as much as possible. So this is a picture of my client's desk, and after I had just organized it, so it looks really neat, but believe me, after a day or so of using it, it's going to look a little more jumbled. But I liked this picture because it shows she really is a big fan of paper clips and binder clips. So we needed a big section for those. And she loves her Sharpies as well. So you're able to containerize like items together and give them a home. Here's another set of drawers from a client. And this is her junk drawer in her kitchen. And by the way, I just want to say this was our first day that she and I had worked together, and we've since been working together for a long time. And she was overwhelmed. She's like, Jocelyn, I have so much to organize, as I'm sure a lot of you are feeling. And what we did was we started with a really small project, the junk drawer. And by doing this project, she felt inspired. She felt hopeful. She was like, that wasn't so hard. And so that's why I really encourage you to start with a really small project so you can get that sense of accomplishment and feel that encouragement. So this was her junk drawer, and she did try to containerize things. You know, she did use Ziploc bags to hold some things, but Ziploc bags are kind of slippery in a drawer. So it's not always a helpful way to containerize. And the drawer does have natural dividers that came in the drawer. So then I said, let's go on a little scavenger hunt around the house, and let's look for some little boxes that you might have, like from stationery or from jewelry that you've gotten as gifts. And we found a bunch of little boxes, and we use those to containerize. And my point here is you don't have to go and buy fancy, expensive boxes. You can look around your house and see, you know, what little boxes do I have? You can use a tissue box. You can use a shoe box. All kinds of things. So, okay, here's another picture from a client's home. This was her medicine cabinet in her kitchen. And she and her husband, they worked, they had 2 active children. People get sick, they have stomach aches, they get colds. After a while, you know, you just keep buying the same kinds of medicines. So we needed to organize this. We took everything out of the cabinet, we sorted it, we put like items together, we saw where things expired, where things no longer needed. Did she have doubles of things that we could condense? So this was an overrun medicine cabinet, and those were my steps. That's right. We took everything out. We sorted, we keep, toss, donate doesn't really relate to doing medication, but these are sort of the 4 main steps to when you take on an organizing project, what you want to do. You want to sort first, put like items together. You're going to make decisions about what you're going to keep, what you're going to toss, what you may donate. In some instances, it may be, what are you going to put in long-term storage? What are you going to sell? So again, these 4 steps are just sort of basic. We can specialize it depending on the situation. Then you want to containerize things and assign them a home. So here's the before and after of that medicine cabinet. And it looks much better, right? And actually, she had these containers in the house already, so we just reused them. And we didn't need a fancy label maker. I had some Post-it tape, and we used Post-it tape because if you haven't learned about Post-it tape, I recommend it. It's one of my favorite products. I love Post-its altogether, but like Post-it tape changed my life. But it's great, and we can write on it. It peels on and off very easily. And it's just terrific. So that's what it looked like afterwards. Okay, label, label, label. Really important. So once you've containerized things, like, I'm going to go back for a minute, like in the kitchen, it helps to label it because then you know exactly where the cold medicines are. You know exactly where the tummy medications are. And then if other people are using things in the house, they have no excuse for putting it away in the wrong place if there's a label there. So labels are really helpful. This next picture is from a client who's also an elementary school teacher. And after I had worked with her over the weekend, on that Monday, she texted me a picture from her classroom. She was so inspired by what we did in the home and the little tricks she learned that she applied it to her classroom. And I apologize that the picture isn't great quality, but basically what she did was she put like items together. She's a science teacher. She put like items together, she containerized them, and she labeled them. And obviously she's utilizing her vertical storage because she used all of her cabinets. So in these pictures, all of the pipettes are together, all of the motors are together, all the magnetic marbles are together, and her students can come and get what they need easily. And this leads me to my second question for you, which again, if you don't mind, this time I will look at the chat. Where have you used labels in your home that has really helped you? Where have you used labels in your home that has helped you? In the pantry. Yep, in the pantry. Me too. On my clear shoe boxes in my closet. Excellent. Filing cabinets. Oh, sure. Living room, folders, binders, attic. Yeah, music. Excellent. I'm a musician as well. Basement, craft storage. Wonderful. Fantastic. Yes, I do it in the freezer as well. I like to know what something is and what's the date that I put it in there. That always helps. Lego. Fantastic. This is great. So I think those of you that replied, you understand the value of labeling things. And if you haven't started labeling, start, because it's really wonderful. It really is so helpful. And again, it doesn't have to be fancy. You can use the Post-it tape. You can use painter's tape is great for labeling. Again, you can take it on and off and it doesn't ruin the surface of anything. Masking tape, you can use Post-it notes. You can use mailing labels. Doesn't have to be a label maker. But as I said earlier, labeling enables others to follow your system. So if you set up a system and other people are using it, it's very easy. So, all right. Now, there may be people who say, I get it, Jocelyn. I know we're supposed to use labels, but that's not my aesthetic. And I don't like the way they look. And I completely respect that, especially if something is going to be out on the counter. So in that instance, then I would encourage you whenever possible to use clear storage. And I love this collection of all these different canisters. And it's very easy to see which is the rice, which are the lentils, what are the herbs, and so forth. So clear storage is another way to go. Okay, and here we show like items are together. This sort of ticked off all of the important commandments so far. Over here, this person was or is likes to bake. So they really needed to put labels on because there's 3 different white ingredients. One is cane sugar, one is white sugar, one is castor sugar. So in that instance, labels are really helpful. Stacked them up, so utilizing vertical storage. And over here, this picture is actually my daughter's former apartment in New York City, right around the corner from Teachers College. And she loves to cook, and she had a small apartment with not a lot of cabinet space, and she loves spices. So I don't know if you could tell, but she had her spices containerized alphabetically. And when she ran out of room, we decided to use the back of her cabinet door. And we found these peel and stick spice holders. They were on Amazon, but you might find them in your local hardware store. And we were able to utilize the back of the cabinet door. And that's something else I want to mention, because the backs of doors is really like untapped space for storing things. So inside of a cabinet, inside of a closet, it's really great if you can utilize that vertical storage. I mean, think about most of you, I would think are familiar with shoe bags that hang on the back of doors. And you can use shoe bags for things other than shoes. I have one in our linen closet, and each pocket is filled with a variety of different items. And I've seen clients use them to store, one client put her child's Barbie dolls in each shoe bag hanging up vertically. So that was a great use of vertical space. Okay, 6th commandment, use your prime real estate wisely. What do I mean by prime real estate? I mean the areas in your spaces that you can reach easily. So if we're talking about our desk, and this is my desk, I want things that I use all the time within easy reach. If you're in your kitchen, you want to really only have things on your counter that you use all the time. And if you're short, like I am, you want to have the things you use all the time on that first shelf in your cabinets. I often tell my clients at the very, very top shelves of cabinets, I call it like the attic of the kitchen, because you have to take out a step stool to get there. So you really only want to store things up in the attic that you access maybe once, twice a year. So let's see how these kitchens did. So here's a quaint kitchen, and we're going to assume, I don't know this, but we're going to make an assumption that this is a small kitchen in a city apartment. And I ask you, do you think that these people are using the prime real estate of the counters wisely? What do you think? You could put it in the chat if you want. No. No. I would agree with you. They are not. Now, I'm not really sure what these appliances are, but all I can say is that how are you going to open up the toaster oven if this big appliance is here, right? And again, we're going to make an assumption that this is a small city kitchen, so counter space is limited. These plants are pretty, but do they really need to be on the kitchen counter? And this garlic is decorative, but again, this is prime real estate here for preparing and doing what you need to do in a kitchen. So I would say that this is not a great example of using prime real estate well. In this kitchen, what I'm going to tell you about the people that live there is one of them has a smoothie every morning, and the other one has toast every morning. And they both like to have citrus in their water or seltzer. So knowing that about the people that live here, would you say that this is a good use of their counter space in their kitchen? Yes. Yeah. Now, if I walked into someone's kitchen, even if they had a huge kitchen, and I said, oh, wow, do you use the blender a lot? And they said, well, only when I make like margaritas or daiquiris, maybe twice a year, then I would say, does that deserve to be on your counter? Because it's taking up real estate. Even though you have a large kitchen, it's taking up counter, and you've got to look at it all the time. Because things that we don't use that are out in the open, that can also become part of visual clutter as well. So you want to be mindful of these things. But in this case, the couple did use it every day. So it deserves that prime real estate. It absolutely does. What do you think about these garages? How is the prime real estate being used? And again, we're not sitting here. I don't want to sit here in judgment. I really want you to put on I can't think. I want you to really think about how this family on the left is using their garage and how the one on the right. Someone says, oh, it looks like mine. I know, it happens. It does. So here on the left, it looks like at one point they had almost like a music studio set up here. They had the drum set, and it looks like they built a little partition here with these cubbies. And I bet it was a nice space for whoever played the drums. But the problem was, it looks like over time, it just became a place to dump the things you didn't know what to do with. Maybe things that didn't have a home, or maybe things that you were not making a decision about. And I was, oh, I'll deal with that later. I mean, listen, we all have places where we put our junk. We've either got junk drawers, or those of us that are lucky enough to live in a big space might even have a junk room, or your attic might be your junk area. Or if you live in an apartment and you are able to rent a storage square down in the basement, that may be where you keep your junk. But even you just, I mean, they can't even, it looks like they can't even use the drum set now, and certainly can't use the garage. So this is not a good example of using the prime real estate in the garage. And I would love to help these people so that they can use it and they could see what they have and get what they want to use more easily. This garage down here, not a garage we'd ever see in a magazine, right? But I'm telling you, it's beautiful. This garage is beautiful. The people are using vertical storage, hanging their shovels from the wall. It looks like they have a nice tool chest here. So all of the tools are kept together. They know where to look if they need something. They even put the ladder up against the wall using vertical storage. And here they hung the roof rack down from the ceiling. And all of that stuff is being stored in the garage, and there's still room to park a car. So bravo to that. That's wonderful. Okay, 7th commandment. This might be a bummer to you, but you really have to declutter on a regular basis. Organizing a space is not a one and done. Organizing is not, I start out disorganized, I spend energy organizing, and then it's organized and I'm done. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Organizing is really a circle, and I want you to think of it as a cycle and as a circle. This is obviously the before picture, and this is the after picture. But you have to maintain it. You have to maintain the organization. Once you have a system in place, it's a lot easier to keep it up. So here's my third question for you folks, if you want to put your answers in the chat. What is an area in your home that you spent time organizing, but it became disorganized again? What's an area in your home that you spent time and energy organizing, but then it became disorganized again? The desk, the office, closets, toys, bedroom, kitchen. Yep, common, very common. Yep, absolutely. It's happened to all of us. But if you can keep up with the organizing, it makes a big difference. A couple of little tips I have for you: 1 in, 1 out. So if you think about how many times you're carrying bags of stuff into your home, think about how many times you're carrying bags of stuff out of your home. And I know some of them are perishable, like your groceries, but I mean, like when you When Amazon keeps bringing boxes and boxes and you into your home, are you carrying out an equal amount of stuff? Because that's sort of a good principle to keep up. It doesn't have to be the exact thing. It doesn't have to be, I buy a new pair of jeans and then I get rid of one, although that would help. But you know, you want to keep the numbers even. So I recommend keeping an empty shopping bag in your closet. And when you try something on, and especially now as we're about to change seasons, we're thinking about our next season of clothes, you know the clothes that you didn't wear this past season. You know the ones that you think, I'm keeping that out of guilt because my sister gave it to me, or I really should be able to fit into that. I hate the word should. I call it shoulding on yourself. So don't should yourself. Or I wish I could fit into that, but then every time you open your closet, you feel lousy because you don't fit into that. Put that in the bag, and that's going to turn into your donate bag. And when the bag is filled up, you're going to bring it right to a donation center, or you're going to arrange to have donations picked up at your home. But don't look back in the bag because you've already made the decision to give that stuff away. So keeping a bag in your closet is a good idea. Keep them in your children's closet too, if you have young kids, because they grow out of their clothes so quickly. And I also keep an empty shopping bag where I do laundry, in our basement by the laundry machine, because I know that I might have worn something and it was itchy or felt too tight or just felt out of style. I didn't enjoy wearing it anymore, but I will wash it and then I will donate it. So I keep a bag there as well. Don't put it down, put it away. Now, this is best when taught to us as children. Wasn't taught to me as a child, but it's never too late to learn. Don't just put something down, put it away. Because in truth, if you don't put it away now, it's just going to annoy you later. So don't put it down, put it away. And one of the handouts that you're going to be receiving after this presentation is what I call my Sweet 16 decluttering questions. And it's basically just 16 questions I've put together. They're prompts. It's the things that I would be saying to you if I was with you inside your home. When's the last time you used this? Do you have something else that serves the same purpose? Are you keeping this out of obligation or guilt? Does it make you happy to have this? Those kinds of questions. And if you're watching this after today because you've accessed the Teachers College YouTube channel, this should be a link to download this PDF, the Sweet 16 Decluttering Questions. Okay, commandment number 8. Process your incoming mail daily. And what do I mean by process is just look at it and make decisions about it, because the buildup of paperwork for some of us, can really start to create a lot of clutter. It's helpful to have the right tools on hand, a nice letter opener so you don't get paper cuts opening up your mail. Have a pen handy where you open up your mail. Maybe that's in the kitchen, maybe that's in the dining room. Some Post-it notes. Definitely have a recycling box, and it's really important to have to shred things that have your private information on them. Identity theft is rampant, and it's terrible when it happens. So you don't want to put into the recycling bin anything that has account numbers, social security numbers, even credit card offers that you get in the mail that you have no intention of taking advantage of. You want to either shred it or take a black marker and cover over your information, because you don't want someone to open up a credit card in your name. Okay, commandment number 9, devise systems and routines. This is really, this is such a time saver, and it's actually such a, it will reduce your mental fatigue, because when we don't have systems and we don't have routines, we end up having to make decisions about stuff all the time, or think about it. Where did I put my keys? Where is this? You know, but if things have a home, and having a home is having a system or a routine, then it frees up your mind to think about other things that are more important. And you don't get that decision fatigue that you can get from having to think about things too much or make decisions. One example I like to give is, so many people say, I want to fit exercise in every day, or I want to do meditation every day. But if you try to schedule it in at different times every day, it's hard. It's much harder to do. But if you just make it part of your routine, then it's just the same as if brushing your teeth or feeding the dog or whatever. It's just, you don't have to think about it. It's just going to be part of your routine. So I'm really advocate for making routines and systems as much as possible. Where do you keep your grocery list? Where do you keep your keys? How do you keep track of appointments? You know, these are different systems or routines you can have that I recommend. And I do a whole other 1 hour seminar on time management that talks a lot more about keeping track of appointments. What I suggest you do is really to sit down and write out your morning routine, write out your evening routine, and even assign times to it. You may not have to stick to it, but at least it gives you an idea to think about. These are the things that I need to do. These are the things I would like to do. And if you make them part of your routine and you try to follow it, it's just, things are going to be much easier for you. Again, don't go for perfection. You don't have to nail it every day. And some days you're not going to get to certain things on your routine. And that's okay. That's okay. Go for good enough. Go for 80%. You don't have to be perfect. All right. The other thing I encourage people to do is keep some kind of filing system. It doesn't really matter what it is. It could be your standard files in drawers. It could be piles. Yes, piling is a form of filing. And there are several accountants in my family, all of whom use piles for their files. And you'd walk in their office and go, oh my God. But if you ask them where something is, they can find it right away. So, you know, those of you who like to pile and can find things right away, you know who you are. It would never work for me because the piles would be visual clutter and would make me nuts. So I'm not a piler, but some people are, and that's okay. You can also use notebooks for your files. That's fine, just as long as you have some system set up for your paperwork. And a lot of people are now fully into digital filing. And again, that's wonderful. As long as you assign places for things, they don't all just live on a desktop, and you label your files. That's helpful too. Okay, my secret weapon is a timer, and I'm going to show you. I have so many timers on my desk. I love timers. I use it on my smartphone. I use it on my watch. I use them in my kitchen appliances. Timers are great. They're real motivators. Sometimes there's a project that you need to do and you're like, oh, I just don't feel like doing that. But if you kind of turn it into a game and you say, all right, I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. I'm just going to do this for 5 minutes, because really the hardest part was getting started. And then the 5 minutes go by in a snap and you're like, oh, that's not so bad. I think I'll set the timer for another 5 minutes or maybe another 10 minutes. So timers are really, really motivating. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out for this particular kind of timer, which was designed by a mom whose child has ADD, ADHD. It's called the Time Timer. It comes in different sizes. I won this one at a conference once. This is a big time timer. This is a little time timer. And what I love about the time timer is it actually shows the amount of time diminishing as it goes. So I recommend the time timer. But any timer can work. Another thing about using a timer, it containerizes your time. So you say, I'm only going to spend 15 minutes cleaning out the garage today. And you don't have to do more than 15 minutes. You can if you want to, but the fact that you've set a timer and you've containerized the amount of your commitment to this project is so helpful. So by all means, use a timer. And the other thing is you can play beat the clock too. I don't do it anymore. but I used to hate cleaning out the dishwasher. I hated it so much. I didn't mind loading it, but I hated cleaning it out. And I would open up the dishwasher and guess how much time I needed to empty the dishwasher. And then I would set the clock, like, oh, if it was a lot, oh, I need 5 minutes, or it's not a lot, I need 4 minutes. And I try to beat the clock. You could play games with yourself to motivate yourself with a timer as well. The last, here we are, the 10th commandment, but this is so important. This is also as important as let go of perfectionism. Mindset. So your approach and the way you think about things is really going to determine your success and your happiness with your organizing. And so my final question for today's chat for you is, what gets in your way of having an organized home? What gets in your way of having an organized home? Overwhelm. Getting started. Use a timer. Perfection. Overwhelm. Too many other commitments. I hear you. Netflix. Yep. Fatigue. Life gets in the way. Absolutely. Yeah. That's all true. It does. It does. So I want to show you this next slide. These two women are both feeling completely overwhelmed by the clutter in their homes. And I know I've been there. It's a lousy feeling. It's not fun. But I want to share something with you, and that is that it's a little alarming about what this kind of stress can do to people, especially to women. There was a study conducted, and I'm going to read this so I get it right, by Darby Saxby and Rena Rapetti in 2010, titled No Place Like Home. And in this study, they studied both men and women, and they concluded that women who react negatively to the clutter in their homes produce higher levels of cortisol. Cortisol is our body's main stress hormone. And you may not know this, but elevated cortisol over a long period of time can lead to very serious health problems. The same study showed that men did not experience raised levels of cortisol from the clutter in their homes, but it did have an adverse effect on women. So if you're one of those women, or even if you are a male that does have raised cortisol levels that you know of, this is something that you want to help yourself take care of. So I ask you this: what's working in your home in terms of being organized? I would venture to guess that you have areas in your home or little pockets of places where the organization is working. What's not working in your home? And what changes can you make to improve your systems and routines? And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be huge. Start small. You want to go for little small changes. Okay. Recognizing the why behind the change you want to make is tremendously impactful. It's one thing to say, I want to clean up my garage. But if you can identify the why behind wanting to clean up the garage, because I can't park my car in there anymore, because I've stopped gardening because I can't find the supplies I need. I've stopped playing tennis because I can't find my tennis racket. If you know the why behind the change you want to make, it's going to propel you that much further to completing your project. And then I say, take baby steps. Again, break it down into little bits. Remember that it took a long time for a cluttered space or a disorganized space to get that way. So it's going to take time to fix it. And then celebrate the small changes. What are some rewards you can give yourself? What can you do that's going to make you feel, look forward? What is it? Book a massage? Is it go for a walk? Is it get a latte? Whatever it is, celebrate your changes and reward yourself. And use positive self-talk and honesty. If you come in from a long work day and I know you're tired and you toss your jacket on the living room couch instead of hanging it up, say to yourself, am I going to be happy to see that jacket later on when I walk through the living room? Or is it going to annoy me that I didn't take the 30 seconds I needed to hang it up. So be honest with yourself. Maybe the answer is, I don't care. And that's fine. But maybe the answer is, yeah, I'd be much better if I just hang it up now, then I don't have to look at it all night and feel bad about it all night. And the other thing I want you to be mindful of is to be patient and to be supportive of yourself. It takes time to make these changes, but I have faith in you. I absolutely have faith in you. What I want to tell you is that organized enough means something different to everybody. So don't compare yourself, as I said earlier, to your best friend, to your mother, to your sister, to your brother, to your roommate. Do what's good for you, or to your partner for that matter. Do become organized enough for you. And I want to leave you before we open up Q&A just by saying that you are perfect the way you are. Maybe you would like to make some positive changes in your spaces so that it feels organized enough to you, and that's great. I hope that some of the commandments I've given you today will support you in the positive changes that you want to make. Remember, you just need to adjust a few habits, give yourself grace and time, let go of perfectionism, celebrate your small improvements, and by all means, ask for support if you need it. Invite a friend over to help you. If you have a housekeeper and you think that she might be able to help you, or they might be able to help you, ask for help. Hire a professional organizer. Do whatever you need to do, but get the support that you need. And I encourage you all, if you would, to please sign up for my weekly email every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. I send out an organizing tip and inspiration. So just go to my website, seeyourwayclear.com, and you can sign up and be part of my weekly email. And it would be a nice way for us to stay in touch. And I thank you. And Elisa, I thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for giving us all these tips and tricks. So we have a few minutes for Q&A, so we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. Thank you, everyone who submitted a question. So the first question we have, so earlier in our 10 Commandments, you were talking about, grouping like things together. What happens when you have, certain items that can fall under a couple different categories? How do you figure out where do they belong? Should they, for example, rulers could be, in the office, or it could be a tool that you have in, your workspace or anything. Where do you put that?
Okay, that's an excellent question. And I'm glad somebody raised that, because there are some things that we're going to have in multiple spaces. So you're probably going to have a ruler at your desk, maybe by the workbench, maybe in the kitchen drawer. Same with a scissor. You're probably going to have multiple scissors around the house, and tape dispensers, all of that. Yes. So some things will be duplicated throughout the house. But I was talking more about putting supplies together when I was saying, like, all of the batteries together and all of the light bulbs together. Try to keep them in one location so you're aware of what your inventory is at any given time. Did that answer the question?
That did. Thank you. But that also kind of raises another question that I've seen in the chat. Having multiples of items, is that helping people be more efficient because it could be scattered around the house, or does it lead to more clutter? How many is too many? I guess that's the big question.
Another good question, but that's up to each individual person. I mean, I could tell you I have scissors almost in every room of my house because, well, for me, I know that if I walk away from a project, I'm going to lose my focus on it. And then something else, there's another shiny object that will attract me and I'll get distracted. So I like having a scissor in but they're in drawers, so they're not clutter, and it just makes it a convenience. But I think that's kind of a personal, you have to figure out what you prefer.
No, I completely agree. Thank you so much for that. I think the next question, a couple of people have asked this question, so I'm wondering to get your hot take on this. How do you get the people in your life, especially the people you live with, get on the organization train?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? You live by example. And I mean, if we're talking about children, you have a little bit more influence there. If you're talking about another adult partner, the best thing to do is just live by example. And you can ask them for their input. I mean, I would never, by the way, organize someone else's things. You're only going to organize things that you both share. It's really not fair to say, I'm going to go in and organize my partner's closet. Don't do that. If you share the closet together, that's a different story. Then it can be a collaborative thing. But when you set up good systems in a mutual space like the kitchen or the bathroom, I think that they'll see the benefits of being organized. One would hope. And I'm also honest communication. I mean, you could say, I function better when things are organized. It saves me time. It saves me stress. I'm releasing cortisol. No, you don't have to say that. But, it makes my life more pleasurable, and I'm going to be a happier person to live with. And if we want to have a happier environment, this is like the magic elixir that's going to make me happy and be nice to be around. So
exactly. Hopefully, I mean, if we are able to organize those communal spaces and have, the labels and having like items together, hopefully that will just, inspire this person that you live with to maybe do the same in their own space. So thank you so much. So one of the other questions that we got is regarding your filing system.
Sure.
Do you recommend filing and organizing these files by the person or by the document? For example, should all birth certificates be in the same file, or should it be based on like each person gets their own file where all their vital information is?
And the answer to that is that they're both okay. And you have to go think about how your brain works. How are you going to go look for it? Are you going to go look for it under Elisa? And then you're going to go look for it under your partner? Is that how your brain works? Or does your brain work like, I like to have all of the birth certificates together? So there's not a right or a wrong answer. Think about how you go to look for things, first of all. And as long as there's a system and you can follow it, that's it. That's all you need, right? There's not a right or a wrong way, really.
So it kind of sounds like, what you had mentioned earlier, communication is key. Talking to the people who's also going to be utilizing this filing system, make sure everyone's kind of on the same page. So if someone's looking for a birth certificate, they know exactly where to go.
Right, exactly.
Perfect. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, which I'm so sad because I know we weren't able to get to everyone's questions. So I'm so sorry, but thank you everyone for taking the time to watch. I mean, Jocelyn has graciously put her contact information on the slide, and it'll be also in the follow-up email. If we did not get to your question, please feel free to shoot her an email with your question. Jocelyn, thank you so much for taking the time to share your top 10 commandments with us on how we can better organize our homes and our lives and just everything else. So we're just so appreciative of you just taking the time to share your expertise with the TC community today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's been so much fun. Thank you. And I hope you get my newsletter, because then we can all stay in touch, everybody. That would be so nice.
Everyone, please make sure to stay tuned to our emails and our social media channels for details on future events, such as Building Resilience During Change and Transition, a virtual career development event with alumna Barbara Phillips on April 7th. We hope to see y'all at future TC alumni events. Until then, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you.